Welcome to Old Game Reviews from GameTaffy.com. I'm Ben Davis, and God of War 2 HD is part of my Play to Win initiative. While I will completely fail this resolution, I'm going to have a good time until then, and God of War 2 HD goes a long way in reminding me why I love video games. Old Game Reviews do not feature scores because what would be the point? Instead, these are my thoughts about one of the best games from the PlayStation 2 days. However, as I pointed out in the last review, the first game in the series was a fantastic reflection of the original Star Wars. After playing through the second game in the franchise, it seems that God of War takes this analogy a bit too far.
Do you see, gods of Olympus? Do you need more proof than this?
Although David Jaffe no longer directs the God of War series by the sequel, it's clear that the development leads understand his vision for the franchise. They take the ideas of the first game and make it bigger and better. In almost every way, God of War 2 HD is better than the first game, especially in its story. When we last left Kratos, he killed Ares, saved Athens, and ascended to Olympus as the new God of War. Now, he roots for the hometown team, and when Sparta invades Rhodes, Kratos pulls an Ares and comes down to help the Carnage. However, Zeus shrinks the God of War down to size and proceeds to rob him of his powers. Fortunately, the Titan Gaia guides Kratos from Hades and tells him that he can have his revenge on Zeus if he finds the Sisters of Fate. From then on, we get an epic tale that takes us to 3 or 4 temples, the bottom of the earth, and back up to Olympus itself. When I first played God of War 2, I could not stand its cliffhanger ending. But now the time has passed and I have God of War 3 in my collection, I am ready to accept the non-ending and enjoy the game for what it is. But there is one thing that I cannot forgive. Spoiler alert, at the end of the game, Athena reveals that Zeus is Kratos' father, and just as Zeus defeated Kronos, now Kratos is declaring war on Zeus. Unfortunately, it's a cheap reveal and falls flat. I mean, who cares that Kratos is trying to destroy his father's kingdom? Let's just enjoy the violence, gore, and alternate take on the gods. But really, other than that, this is one of the best action games I've played in years, and it's 95% because of the story. Gameplay, on the other hand, is pretty weak. Well, that's only half true. The philosophy of bigger and better works in some situations, and there are several more set-piece moments to enjoy. However, the gimmicky QuickTime events are back with a vengeance. In the last game, to open a door, you only had to hold the R2 button. In God of War 2 HD, you have to hit the R1 button and mash circle repeatedly. Throughout the game, the QuickTime events play a huge part. But, unlike the last game, they are much more forgiving. Both games gave me a bruised right thumb, but I failed the events fewer times in the sequel. Boss fights seem shorter, but that could be because I played the game 4 or 5 years ago. In God of War, I spent up to a half hour working on a boss, doing the same things over and over again. And in the sequel, the longest single event in a boss fight took me 20 minutes. For me, this makes the game better. The boss fights are fun and interesting. Unlike the last game that made bosses tedious and repetitive, this could be among my favorite games of all time if it didn't rely on those gimmicky QuickTime events. Like the last review, the game looks great until you see the in-game cutscenes in full standard definition glory. However, this game's sound changes the franchise. For the first time, we get great acting from start to finish. Well, with exception to Icarus.
Do you hear me?
The music and characters give this game a cinematic feel unlike any other game I've ever played, and it only took one game to see such huge improvements. I played God of War 2 HD on the God of War Collection, which packages the PlayStation 2 games on one disc. All of the special features are there, with exception to the God of War 2 making-of documentary. For some reason, only the first 3 chapters appear in my collection. Hopefully these aren't locked away behind some stupid online pass, but I could not see any way to get to the rest of the movie. Alone, God of War 2 is one of the most breathtaking and frustrating games I've ever played. Just about everything is better than the original, but it ends with a cliffhanger, and there is never a reason that a $60 video game should not have an ending. Fortunately, you can get the first 2 games and God of War 3, plus the 2 PSP games in the God of War Saga for the PlayStation 3. It's an excellent value for one of the best epics in gaming. I'm Ben Davis, and I want to thank you for watching this old game review of God of War 2 HD, presented by GameTaffy.com.